Hey, what is up guys? It is your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be going through Alliance versus OG, primarily focusing on the carry performances of Nikobaby and Ana. I just kind of want to see why Alliance was finally able to break through and take down OG in this DPC series. It's going to be a good time, and by the way, talking about carries, and talking about a good time, another place where you can find those two things is the gameleap website. Recently, I just made a full-length Ursa replay analysis, the type of stuff you'd see here on YouTube, but just on the website. But you're not going to get it here, so you got to sign up down below if you want that. On top of that, I made a replay analysis of Puppy's Veno Jungle. That's a great time as well. It was really funny to break it down and go over, you know, the best hero in Dota, in the best role in Dota, and yeah, so go sign up down below. All right, getting into it. Yeah, the first thing I want to say is that Void seems to be back. I've had a little bit of confidence in this hero as of late. Time Dilation received big buffs as of late, and I will say that I'm a big fan of Void's talents. So you'll see here at level 10, he gets 9 strength, and then at level 15, he gets 300 HP, giving him a total of 480 HP at level 15. And that's pretty nuts, considering you can also buy Sanjin Yasha, and you basically be an unkillable frontliner. Now, OG's method of trying to burst him or kill this Void was very clearly the Riki. They last picked the Riki, but you're going to see that it just doesn't really work out. Even though that smoke screen does kill Nikobaby at some point, it's not enough. And so yeah, I think this hero is going to slowly, maybe quickly actually, come back into the meta, so keep your eyes out. So first, let's break down the two different laning stages of Ana and Nikobaby. So Ana has to go into a tri-lane, right? So in this game in particular, Ana started the game in a tri-lane and ends the laning stage in a tri-lane. Now, this is good for him, right? Especially at the start, it was actually a 2v3, so he's chilling. However, I will say that I think this eventually actually just favors Alliance pretty heavily. The reason why I see this as a big favor towards Alliance is mainly because Alliance has a Timber Saw. So even though Timber might get shut down early on, and he did, if you look at the net worths, he's not having a great time, he's doing okay. About the same as Seb, maybe a little bit above. But the thing is, once S4 gets levels, he can actually lane, right? Now that he's level 3, especially when he hits level 4 and gets 2 points in the reactive armor, he will actually be able to lane, right? Where the Magnus, even though he's level 4 now, technically he's a higher level than the Magnus, it doesn't matter, because Void beats up Magnus. Magnus can't lane Void, but, right? Timber can lane PA, and so while these matchups are even, I do believe that this is something to consider in your pubs as well when it comes to the lane matchups. So moving on to the 8-minute mark here, I'd like to talk about why Ana's game becomes incredibly hard and some of the mistakes that he makes that causes him to have a tough game. Now, this is good because it's going to show you guys basically what you can do in these scenarios as well, so you can emulate players like Ana or, you know, I guess more so in this case, Nikobaby. So in this game, we talked about why this lane and game in general becomes hard for Ana. He can't lane Timber, that matchup's just simply not good. The Tiny ganks him, right? Tiny definitely counters PA, right? All magical damage. And so what does Ana do? He naturally goes to the only lane he really feels like he can go to, which is bottom. On top of that, Magnus is bottom, and so anytime you're playing with a Magnus as a hero like PA or Jug, lane swapping with them is kind of nice, or at least like lane shifting in this case, because the Magnus isn't going to go top against Timber, but lane shifting here, and the reason why it's good is because you're going to get it in power on the way there. But that's what he does, right? So that's what Ana does. The only problem with this is that Nikobaby is already level 7, right? Almost level 8. He has an Orb of Venom, Treads, and a Javelin. And Javelin is also a counter to PA, right? Because you cannot miss. When it procs, it can't miss. And so you have that advantage there as well. And then we're going to see a massive play from Alliance. And this is why when people tell me in their pubs, they're like, oh, I can't find farm, I can't find space. Trust me, you can. Until you have to play against Alliance, who predicts where you're going to go with the smoke gank, you'll be fine. It's just whether or not you know the matchups well enough. Are you looking at the enemy's heroes and adjusting? Because Ana does that here. It's the right play, in my opinion. I don't think he honestly had anywhere else to go. His only other option is just to legit jungle, which is maybe what he should have done, but the Magnus is doing that, so they probably don't want the Magnus to go to the lane, because Magnus can't lane at all. PA can. So I think that's the idea there, but yeah, he just gets instantly ganked at the tower. It's a very easy kill for Alliance, obviously. And yeah, his game is in a very, very weird spot now. But the play that's important for OG here that I really need you guys to see is that they start shifting heroes to protect Ana. So Ana can't lane against Timber. He can't lane against Tiny. And so what can he do? If the supports are bottom, right, which you can see Alliance is clearly doing. They have this very obvious idea for this game. They're basically saying, okay, Ana can't go top because Timber's there. Ana can't go mid because Tiny's there. So we're shutting down those 2 lanes. And so we're going to put our 2 nukers in the bottom lane and we're going to bully Ana out. And so what would most players do in this situation? Feed. They would feed. They would literally feed. I guarantee if I put most of you guys here and you had to communicate to your teammates what you needed, you wouldn't communicate and you would just feed, right? Because you would just have nowhere to go. I mean, you would jungle, right? Like most putt players do when they don't know what to do, when they don't know where to go. They just jungle. Now, there's a better option to that in a lot of games, and it does require some teamwork, but as a carry player, I've been even learning this a little bit. You have to communicate to your team where you need them to go to open up the map for you, right? It's very hard to do. It does require a lot of foresight, but it's important. You need to tell them where you need them to go. So here, he's getting ganked bottom again, just messed with again, and so he tells his team come bottom, and literally a team fight is going to happen at around minute 12, just to open up the map. Literally just so he can hit creeps, but very often in Dota, that's how you structure the map. You have to do what allows your win condition to have some farm, and so obviously the PA with the mag PA draft is the win condition, and so the Riki shifts down here and literally starts roaming. Thompson on the mid Riki starts roaming, and this isn't necessarily the best for Thompson's game. It's okay. It's all right if he gets some kills. It's not the best for farm, but it needs to be done, right? It needs to be done, and therefore the Magnus is going to be taking sort of like the more so AFK role, right? The Mag is going to be taking the safe farm mid, because, you know, Mag can definitely lane Tiny. He can at least chill, and yeah, they're going to create some space for Ana now. Obviously, Alliance doesn't want Ana to be able to free farm. However, they bait Alliance into a very meh engagement, and OG is very, very good at this. Now, why is this so crucial? What do we see here that's so crucial? Timber TP's bottom. Timber TP's bottom, and this is what OG is so good at, because now the Timber TP's bottom, and what does this allow Ana to do? You guessed it, go top. This is pro Dota. This is high level Dota. All of this was basically set up. Most tier 2 teams, cannot do this stuff or don't do this stuff actively when they need to. But this is what makes OG OG, and I think a lot of people struggle to see this type of stuff, but this is why Ana's good. This is why, Thompson's good. It's these type of plays that really make the difference and allow, a PA in a tough PA game to get farm, at least in the early game. Late game, it's not too bad. Well, actually they lose, so I guess it's not the best, but you get what I'm saying. Now that we've talked about Ana for a little bit, let's talk about Nikobaby. In this game in particular, it's very hard for him to get ganked until the Riki defusal, and so really what he has to be doing this game is just paying attention to Thompson's timing. Once Riki has defusal, he's going to have to play a little bit more defensive and keep his eyes open to that. But until then, it's very hard for him to die. Is it possible? Yeah, of course. He could get LSA'd into an Echo Stomp, into an ET ulti, into an Laguna Blade. Yeah, he could die. But it's very unlikely, assuming he has vision of people, right? Assuming he has at least some vision of the enemy team. Okay, so upcoming here, we're going to see a really cool TP. I'm going to be breaking it down in real time. I'm a little bit confused why he did this, but this is what you learn from watching replay analysis, from breaking down these type of players. So here he pushes out the top lane. So let's break down a couple things. Top lane shoved into the top tier 2. That means he can't farm there, right? So he can't go top. That's not an option. At least the wave top is what I'm saying. He can't go to the wave top. Even on this next one, it's going to meet about here. That puts him in a kind of a meh position where maybe he could die. So he jungles, and he just TPs bottom. A couple of things I'd like to note about this is, number one, Void is a hero that wants lane creeps. Void is not a hero that likes taking Ancients if he doesn't have to, and so that is the first thing to know, knowing your hero, right? However, if he's a Naga, I have a strong feeling he wouldn't have made this TP, or a Terrorblade, because he could shift to the Ancients and take them efficiently, even a PL, potentially. On top of that, it allows him to show up to this fight. And so this is actually a great play by Nikobaby. Even though he ends up dying here, I love the concept, which is understanding his hero, right? So he TPs for the bottom lane creeps. He shoves the top wave in, so he gets that farm. Then he goes bottom, right? Gets that farm, and now he can show up to this fight. Even though he doesn't have Chrono, I do believe that it's still a good fight to show up to. Another thing I'd like to mention is that you don't skill Chrono at level 12. It's so bad. It scales so poorly. It's literally 0.5 seconds duration, which I guess could matter, but instead, just take points in time dilation. On top of that, when you skill Chrono, it jacks up the mana cost by 75, and it can literally get you killed. You can run out of mana in some cases, so yeah, just don't skill it at 12. You can skill it later on, like 16, 17. I'm curious when he skills it. Probably when he has to. As the fight breaks out, Nikobaby, he's just going to be looking for any target he can. He's kind of just tanking the fight. You can see he's putting a large priority on just zoning out the enemy team I do believe that he plays a little bit too scared in this fight, but that's hindsight, right? It's hindsight. In the moment, he didn't know, he probably didn't even see his Tiny getting gone on the bottom side, because eventually he's going to walk in and start to hit this Lina, which is, you know, it's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to just take out the back line and sort of chip them down, right? Be the zoning wall, which he does, but unfortunately, he ends up getting sliced. I don't know when Ana got this Deso. Was it during the fight? No, okay, it was a little bit before. But yeah, it was really key here. It's funny. This is why, like, imagine if Ana chose the wrong lanes to farm and he got shut down. He wouldn't have had a Deso for this fight. But because he did, right, because he had this level of farm, he does have this Deso, right? And then it's at the perfect time because these mini skirmishes, these are, you know, fights that PA actually loves. She loves them because they're open in the jungle. It's really easy to blink strike around and dodge enemy opponent skills and basically avoid getting caught by 3, 4, 5 heroes, which is the primary way you're gonna die. PA rarely is gonna get solo killed unless they have like a, I don't know, Leshrac or a Lina core, you know, like some burst Lina, something like that. And so you can see he's playing the outside of the fight. It's really well done. He sees the Avatos combo onto the Riki. A little bit surprised Limp didn't just like normal Avatos combo. I guess that one makes sense. But quickly he's gonna go over to the side. This is great recognition because this jump that he does onto the Tiny here is perfect because it gets him away from the fight. Unfortunately, you know, S4's chasing, but it gets him away from the fight, away from the supports who are on the left, and he knows Tiny has no spells. So it's a good jump into the smoke screen as well to protect him. So they get that kill. Then he's going to kite out, right? Forces the jump from Nikobaby, and that was a big force, right? He understands if the Void gets gone on there, if the Void gets jumped, not only does it keep him in position, which is a big thing. I think a lot of carry players struggle with this idea. This idea of like, sometimes you have to just jump who keeps you in position. If he was to jump a Rubik in between 3 heroes, it would probably just be suicide. So in this jump, right, Tiny on the outside, so he jumps Tiny, even though some heroes shifted over, right? It was still good. Finishes off the Tiny kill. Then he's like, who's next? He knows he's not going to burst the Void. He's half HP. It's a Void. You're not going to insta-kill him alone, right? However, it puts him in position. It keeps him in position, right? Just keep that in mind for your games because a lot of people will be like, I'm playing PA. I have to kill the supports. And then they die to some like, you know, Timber ulti, Timber W. And yeah, just good patience. Smoke screen comes out. They secure all the kills. Beautifully done. All right, next up, we're going to be skipping ahead to the 35-minute mark here. Quick look at Nikobaby's items. He went Maelstrom into Sange and Yasha, building the Sange first, into BKB, into MKB. You can clearly see it's not a glass cannon build. His very obvious idea of Void is that he wants to be frontlining, right? He wants to initiate for his team, tank the damage, not get bursted. You know, it's not some sort of Mask of Madness build, which I just love. You know, I think it makes so much sense on this hero when you have a lot of follow-up to the Chrono and a lot of heroes that simply do damage, right? You know, Tiny does a lot of damage, Timber does a lot of damage, Rubik does a lot of damage, Snapfire does a lot of damage, so he really just has to stay alive and guarantee that Chrono gets off. Now, this play is nuts. I've not seen people do something this crazy besides like OG. But it makes a lot of sense. So here, they collapse on mid, right? They just got to pick off on the tops and bottom for a little bit of context. Now they shift over to mid, and basically he knows that the PA dies in a Chrono because of the nature of the Snapfire Void combo. On top of that, he has the MKB now. And so we see he's like pinging the hill. He's like, put down a ward, we're gonna jump. And that allows him, because like, obviously OG's not expecting anything. How often do you see this type of play? They didn't even take the mid tier 2 yet, right? They didn't even take the mid tier 2, let alone the bottom tier 2. They didn't even take either of them, and yet they put down this ward, and this is when these high ground wards definitely worked the best. Now, the E-Blade did come out from the Lina to try to protect the PA, but unfortunately that amps the damage from Snapfire ulti, so while I do think it was the right decision, yeah, just not enough, and that forces out a double kill onto the PA and a buyback from No-Tail, so you can see Hanskin tipping Nikobaby, definitely a freaking, I don't know what else to say besides genius play. It was just so heads up. All right, next up, let's take a look at the play that actually nearly brings OG back into the game. So as we just know, Alliance has taken Rax, mid, and they used Chrono. And obviously the biggest weakness to Void is the times in which he doesn't have Chrono. You can still fight without Chrono, you're definitely not useless, but of course, Chrono is Chrono. And so they're trying to force a fight. Now, typically, walking up a hill like this is not a good idea. Why? Because you're not going to get the jump, you're going to get spells casted on you and kite it out. And he does it anyway. Now, the reason why I think this is okay is because he really, and OG in general, feels desperate to make a play here. On top of that, they have this Magnus, and with Magnus, you need someone to get gone on, right? You need someone on your team to get gone on in order for him to get off a good RP. because otherwise the enemy team's not going to clump. Not these level of players. In your pubs, this still works, it just works even more, right? It literally works even better because 5 people will just jump the PA immediately, and then you'll get a 5-man RP, and obviously you can understand how that will go. And so I like what he does here, right? He's just kind of trying to force the issue. Alliance is doing a great job, though, trying to keep their backliners out of vision and just poking Ana from a distance. Now, unfortunately, though, for Nikobaby, he does get jumped by Thompson, and we see the counter matchup there, right? The Void against the Riki. Smoke Cloud is just such an issue for Void, and so it forced out the Void BKB, which is definitely a win, right? Definitely a big win. On top of that, we see that Snapfire ulti was used as well. So OG is going to do what I like to call the OG classic, which is bait Roche. They always do this. They always do this, where they make the enemy team fearful. They make the enemy team think they're in the pit, right? Because, well, we know you have no Chrono. We know, well, now they have Chrono. We know you have no BKB on Void. We know you have no Snap ulti. And we're a PA mag. We're going to take Roche very quickly. So that's exactly what they do. They scout up the high ground with the Riki illusion and so on. Now, S4 being the smart player that he is obviously going to try to break the smoke, break the engagement. But even though this is the case, they're going to go in and, actually somehow he's killing this Tiny. I didn't even think this would work when I originally watched this play. I'm like, oh, I can't believe he's jumping this Tiny. This guy's pretty tanky. He's got a good amount of armor, but he doesn't anyway. And I really do believe that this is him trying to once again force a good opportunity for an RP. We talked about it earlier. It forces good opportunities because as a carry player, the only time you want to jump like this is when your team can't do it. What I mean by that is if he has a hero like Clockwork, well, he might want to let Clockwork go in first unless someone's really out of position, right? Let's say the Rubik was just in vision. Okay, just kill the Rubik. But he might want to let the Rubik, let's say he had a Clockwork, he could let the Clock go in so that he could jump the Rubik first or something like that. Or the Void, who I'd say is a bit more valuable, right? Jumping Tiny, I think it's okay, but it's not the best. But in this case, right, it's going to allow his team to kind of surround the enemy, and that's exactly what we see. A good smoke screen onto the Void. We know the Void has no BKB. And then, yeah, Elder Titan coming into play. By the way, I really feel like Elder Titan is so strong. He's a little bit hard to use, but you can see in this clip here, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, the potential of the ET, right? Void goes into a smoke screen. Once again, that combo coming out. And look at Void's armor. Look at his armor, right? When the ET puts out the Spirit. Look at it. Look. Oh, wait, why didn't it go away? It is there. All right, I think it's a bit of a bug. But yeah, it should make his armor go to 0, right? Because it's all of the base armor. It should just go to 0. And that's what's insane. He just gets like insta-killed by a PA. And usually Void is pretty tanky, right? It's a hero with good armor, obviously Sanjin Yasha, but doesn't matter. And because of this, they're able to force out big buybacks. Now, it's not enough to change the game. Unfortunately, this does mean that the Magnus dies, right? Because they're still super far behind. It's hard for them to not lose anyone. And Alliance will naturally eventually get the Roshan as a result. Next up, we see another heads-up play by Nikobaby, and this is we're gonna end the game here actually, but this was a crazy chrono. The reason why I say that is he kind of just goes for it, and a lot of people would be really hesitant to commit chrono in the late game on a single target, but it's very crucial to do this because they just got to pick off onto Seb, right? So Seb was trying to split push, they caught him, they find him, and then the Riki, right, is trying to push out the mid lane. And he just goes for the chrono. Now, funny enough, he doesn't even get the Riki kill. Riki gets glimmered, Riki gets out, but it does allow them to easily kill No-Tail at some point. It was really funny. They almost got bursted on the Void. Some ridiculous combo here. Thankfully, he's able to get his time walk off and the Minotaur horn. But it kind of just leads to another kill on the No-Tail. And now, right, great play by No-Tail to make sure it wasn't the Riki. But at the end of the day, these type of confidence chronos are key in the late game to force big fights, right? On top of that, they have this refresher orb, which is also big because OG doesn't know this. I mean, they might know, but they might not necessarily have thought of it. They might not realize it and remember. And that's going to allow Alliance to go high ground here and end off this game. And that's exactly what we see here. So going into the last fight of the game, he actually just solo chronos Seb. They nearly didn't get the kill, funny enough, because of the sleep dart from Thompson, which is, by the way, a broken shard. I actually think Riki shard is maybe one of the best in the game. Even on release, I think it was mad underrated. It just puts people to sleep for 3 seconds on like some low cooldown. But yeah, that's what happens. Fortunately, they were able to get the kill nonetheless. RP comes out though, which allows them to burn the Aegis, but that's not really too bad for him, right? It's funny, Nikobaby actually panics here. He swaps out his Sanjin Yasha. It's actually a big mistake. This could get him killed, you know? Did he realize here? No, he's in the moment. He's in the zone. But he gets a good dilation onto the Lina. You know, Lina dilated is just destroyed. I think it hit the Riki as well. And dilation is just such an insane spell in the late game, right? It puts the E and the sleeping dart on cooldown, which drops Riki's movement speed to 284, making it really hard for them to go in. And then, oh, such a heads up play to know he's got the Minotaur horn. If he got stun there, I think there's a slight chance he dies. Probably doesn't, but there's a slight chance he dies. Brings the Sanchi Yasha back out, eventually kiting out the fight. They'll find Ana, they'll find No-Tail. And yeah, that's about the end of this game. Hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, smash the like button and subscribe. We post here every single day. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you want me to do next. Maybe like a full Ana replay, Saksa, Thompson, I don't know. Maybe someone on Alliance, Liquid, could be anything. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace. And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.